We've got the 2024 Versa, and it got a few updates.
I apologize now. If I call it the Venza, it's an honest mistake, honestly.
You can't get it right.
Oh, go for it. Go for it, Andrea. Use all that power, Andrea.
Here we go.
Ooh.
It's a little louder, but you know, not bad for a commuter car, really.
This is a yabba dabba doo car, maybe, with the little feet underneath.
It's a little bit.
All right, what's under the hood of this Nissan Versa? I got it right.
You got it right. 1.6 liter 4-cylinder matched to a CVT. It has 122 horsepower and 114 pound-feet of torque. In the US, a 5-speed manual transmission is standard on the base model with an available CVT. Unfortunately, that 5-speed manual transmission is not available in Canada.
That makes no sense. Typically, it's the other way around. Canada gets the manual and the US doesn't, because in Quebec, they love their manual transmissions, but there you go.
Now, initially when this came out, it did say in the press release that Canada was getting a 5-speed manual, but I confirm with head office, we are not.
So what are the key standard features of this budget-friendly Versa?
The base trim comes with a 7-inch touchscreen, a 4-speaker audio system, 6-way manual driver's seat, a 4-way manual passenger seat, cloth upholstery, manual climate control, a temporary spare tire, automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane departure warning, rear automatic braking and high beam assist, and cruise control.
There's not a lot of buttons in this, Andrea.
No.
But we can pretend. What can we put it in?
Got to put it in S for subscribe. And if you can hit that notification bell, you'll be notified when all of our reviews drop, and then you can watch them.
And we do this, the Cup of Car Review, twice a week. The first one drops on Wednesday.
We put another one out on Saturday.
So make sure you like and subscribe, but also follow along on Instagram. It's Motormouth_Andrea to see what's up behind the scenes. For me, it's Motormouth_Auto, and the links are below the like button. So if you're not a Versa enthusiast, you might not know this is a model refresh for 2024. Yeah. What do you get with this?
Well, Nissan has given it a new front grille and a new front fascia, new technology in here, a larger available 8-inch touchscreen, wired Apple Carplay and Android Auto. It now has an available wireless charger. The 17-inch wheels get a new wheel design, the new Nissan badging to the exterior and interior, and a new color, gray sky pearl, which we have on our test model.
So I'm not sure why they call it gray, because to me this looks blue.
I know, it looks like it's a light blue, especially in the sun.
I kind of like the color a lot, actually. And I like the design changes on the outside. And you know what's surprising to me, Andrea? This shares the platform with the Nissan Kicks, which has become a very, very big seller for Nissan. It's the same platform, same engine. And I find the way that they've calibrated the suspension is quite firm, and I like driving it.
I'm actually really surprised by how well this handles. It feels smooth, pretty refined for this type of vehicle and this price point. Of course, extra power would always be nice. The power is sufficient for this city. When you get it on the highway and you want to pass, you're going to have to make a plan, because it doesn't pass quickly. So stay in the right lane, make a pass when you can.
This is really an urban commuter car. And the one thing I always look at with an urban commuter car is it comfortable?
Yep.
Is it easy to maneuver? And does it beat you up? And on all 3 scores, this car wins. I find it very comfortable. We're going to talk about the seats a little bit later in Questions, Coffee, and Cars. You can throw it anywhere because it's so small. And you don't come out of it at the end of it fatigued. And that's all you really want in a commuter car.
Yeah, and when you are driving in the city, it actually seems pretty quiet, cabin-wise.
Yeah, that's part of the fatigue. Like a lot of the fatigue is noise fatigue.
That's right.
And this is pretty good.
But when you get it on the highway, even when you're at a cruising speed, it still remains quiet. It's only when you accelerate quickly that you might find that the cabin gets louder, which is pretty typical for this price point.
I do like the color, and I actually don't mind the looks. I think this is, I don't want to say cute. It's not, is it cute?
I don't think it's cute. I think the front looks good. I think the back has a bit of a weird look to it. Maybe it's too long compared to the front. I'm not sure. There's something about it that I kind of look at that I don't love, but overall it's pretty good.
You know what's missing, Andrea? It's the old hatchback we used to have. They got rid of the Versa Note and they brought out this sedan. when you compare it to, say, the bigger brother, the Sentra, the Sentra just looks so sharp from all angles and a sporty looking little car. And I kind of think that when we get into the price of this, you start adding up all the features that car gets, like independent rear suspension, a nicer interior, better looking, all those sorts of things. It might be better to make that leap to get a Sentra.
I think it all depends on your budget. You could get this middle trim and you're going to be well under $25,000 Canadian. I mean, even the top trim in the US
How much?
is just over $20,000 US for this top trim. So those numbers are really impressive. And I think that if you're on a tighter budget, making that stretch to something like the Sentra or even the Hyundai Elantra, $2,000 to $3,000 more, it might be too much for some people.
Yeah, well, it depends on your budget.
That's
I mean, if this is, see, these sorts of cars are what we call used car replacement.
Yes.
So instead of somebody going and buying a used car, they go, you know what, I can get a brand new car with a warranty and get something cheap and cheerful. We're going to use that as well, and cute. And that's where this car falls in. So what features do you get on the outside?
Well, I just want to make a point to that, Zach. You saying like make the jump to a Sentra, let's say, for $2,000 to $3,000 more for the base model. But that's one of the reasons why these types of vehicles are disappearing, is because people are buying them less and less.
Yeah, that's the problem. So what do you get on the outside of this one?
So this one comes standard with halogen headlights, available LED headlights. You get front fog lights, standard 15-inch wheels, available 16-inch and 17-inch wheels. And this Versa gets a temporary spare tire.
Well, we're going to talk about the interior. This will be short. It's got a new head unit with a nice big screen on this one. It even has a digital instrument cluster behind the steering wheel, which is crazy considering the price point. And I find the materials in here shockingly good.
Same here. And once again, we're going to use the word comfortable for a daily commuter. This one, our test model, has the larger 8-inch touchscreen, and it has wired Apple Carplay and Android Auto. You don't get wireless on this, but it still is a nice addition. No moonroof, and you know what I'm really missing?
What?
I don't want to be a whiner about it because it is an inexpensive vehicle, but I'm missing a heated steering wheel.
Oh, and a power seat.
Yeah,
but the thing is, but that's when you go and get a Sentra.
That's
hon.
it.
You go get a Sentra and they'll throw those things in there for you. All right, so is there a specific trim you like?
Yes, for sure. Zach's going to laugh at me at this one. One up from the base model. You've got to add some of these extra features, and I think that that is a good trim to go with. It adds the wireless charger, wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, heated front seats, automatic climate control, an upgraded cloth interior, and a 7-inch driver display. The top trim, which we're driving as the sport cloth seats, remote engine start, and an 8-inch touchscreen, along with a 6-speaker audio system.
Now, in the United States, trims are very much aligned with our Canadian trims. However, the top trim adds heated front seats. So this is in the subcompact category, and you would think there would be no space in the back seat. Well, it's not the case. There's actually a little bit of legroom, a little bit of headroom. There is no armrest in the back seat, but it is pretty comfortable.
Comparing the Versa to the Kia Rio, the Versa offers 44.5 inches of front row legroom, which is over 2 inches more than the Rio. Second row legroom at 31 inches falls short to the Rio by over 2.5 inches.
So lift the trunk and you can see it has a roomy trunk for this class of vehicle. I do, however, miss the hatchback.
The Versa's trunk space comes in at 14.7 cubic feet, which is a bit larger than the Rio.
Are you ready for a little trip down memory lane? Let's go for it.
Yeah.
With coffee.
Time now for questions, coffee, and cars.
Your questions from Instagram.
How does this compare to the similar Mitsubishi Mirage sedan?
Well, this is this is like the AMG version compared to that car.
It really is.
Or the M car.
Oh man, that one has got a 1.2 liter 3-cylinder engine.
And it's not turbocharged. I don't believe it is.
No, it's not turbocharged. As far as no way, because wait till I give you the horsepower number. Are you ready? 78 horsepower.
So this is a rocket ship.
It is less money. It starts at 17,000 Canadian, that Mirage.
I'm going to tell you a quick story
Wow.
about, I was interviewing a guy and he worked for a company that looked after condo buildings, maintenance.
Yeah.
And he got paid mileage from his company.
Oh, yeah.
So what he did was what's the cheapest, most fuel efficient car he could buy? So he went and got a Mirage. He says, every time I get a check for my mileage, I laugh.
Yeah, I mean, he's
That's what, this would be great for that too.
He's making a lot of money. Yeah, and great fuel economy. This is bigger than the Mirage as well. But if you just want to, cheap and cheerful, sort of, I kind of hate using that, cheap and cheerful, because it's not, meaning it's inexpensive. It's not like cheap.
No, cheap as in inexpensive.
Yes.
Cheap and cheerful doesn't mean it's bad.
No, that's
but I think
exactly
this is exactly what this is.
So this vehicle brings back a lot of memories for me because I owned a Mitsubishi Dodge Colt and I absolutely loved it. I couldn't afford anything else. My grandma, wonderful woman, she said, Andrea, buy a new vehicle.
Okay, I'll do grandma. Ready?
Okay, do it.
Andrea, actually, old German lady. Andrea, don't buy a used car, buy a new car. Mm-hmm. And then you went to the Mitsubishi store.
I went to the Mitsubishi. It was actually a Dodge Colt.
Dodge store,
It was actually a Dodge Colt. Anyway, I went in and I bought a new vehicle. I really wanted the Honda Civic because it was so popular. But
Dodge
it was
Colt for you.
It was $3,000 more. I only had so much money at 18. So I bought it. And I really have fond memories of it, and Zach wouldn't get rid of it.
I loved it. It was, and how many horsepower did that have?
We had to look it up because we were like, what does it have?
Because it was so slow.
78 horsepower.
Yeah.
Or was it 68?
No, 68 horsepower.
68 horsepower.
Yeah, 68 horsepower. Yeah, so
we did the trick. You know what? I worked in radio, and I had to drive from Vancouver to Squamish to the radio station up there, Mountain FM, and I drove on that highway, and it got me there. It got me from A to B.
All right, next question. We're not going down memory lane too far, Andrea. Very slowly in a Dodge Colt.
Very slowly. Looks like Impreza materials for seats. Yeah, kind of, isn't it? Impreza has that kind of outdoor type of material.
You know what's interesting is this is a cheap and cheerful car, and they have like a stitched dash pad. They have the two-tone cloth seats that is carried into the back seat. Hello, Acura Integra with their horrible looking back seat.
Yeah.
And
stitching.
Yeah, it's got a full switch gear on the steering wheel. You know what?
Even look at this, the faux kind of carbon trim
I just want to
here.
say something. If you gave Andrea this car back in the day when she had the Dodge Colt, you would have felt you were driving in a Mercedes in comparison.
Oh my God, that Dodge Colt had like faux corduroy seats.
The seats were really good.
So nice.
I've been noticing that the seats in this are very comfortable.
Yeah.
I hurt my back recently, and I'm actually having more enjoyment driving this than our other press car this week.
And then also the little details, like this doesn't have a moonroof, so it's got a light headliner, which makes it look quite, light and open. It just feels bigger than really what it is. Nissan always does a good job of spending $1, but making it look like they spent 10 when it comes to the interior. Yeah, especially when it comes to making comfortable seating. I hate CVTs, but otherwise when I'm in the rental aisle, I often end up picking a Nissan. We were talking about the CVT actually the other day when we were driving this.
Yeah, we won't go through the interior anymore.
No, we
already
did it. But we actually said to each other, this is a good CVT. I know that some people don't like them, but they've improved a lot.
Yeah, they've come a long, long way. I would guarantee you, if you put this in the rental fleet and someone drove it, unless they've come from an AMG, they would say, this is fine. It's totally fine. And now it's time for our hot topic. What's this one, Andrea?
With so many new cars on the road being big SUVs and trucks, how is the safety rating on such a little car? I'd be worried going up against something with big tires.
So two things can be true at the same time. You definitely are right. The bigger a vehicle, the greater likelihood of survivability, and mass will always win out. A bigger vehicle will do more damage to a smaller vehicle, no question about it. But small cars can be built safely, and they can get good crash ratings. Think of the smart car. Remember that little tiny thing? Incredibly safe, even though it was tiny. How does this one stack up?
Well, before I get into that, there was an interesting comment on Instagram this morning where somebody has a Honda Fit. He says he actually pays more in insurance because it's a smaller vehicle. I had never heard that before.
Neither had I.
Yeah. Anyways, so it does get great safety ratings, a 5 out of 5 from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. So that is pretty great. And then also the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety gives the Versa the highest possible good ratings for moderate overlap frontal impacts and side impacts.
So there you go.
That's really good.
So there you go. Two things can be true at the same time. And
Yeah.
then I just think about if you're driving this little small subcompact, just think about driving a Miata,
I
right?
know.
Or a little Boxster or something, and there's big trucks and everything around you.
Yeah.
I don't live my life that way. It's nice to know this is safe, but there you go.
For sure.
All right, so the fuel economy on this thing on the highway is really good. Let's get into it.
Let's start with pricing. We'll do Canada first and then move on to the US. The base trim starts at just over $22,000 and the top SR model is just over $25,000. In the US, the manual transmission starts at just over $16,000 and the top trim is just over $20,000.
Here's the fuel economy, 7.4 liters per 100 kilometers in the city, 5.9 on the highway. That's 32 miles per gallon city, an amazing 40 miles per gallon highway. The warranty is 3 years, 60,000 kilometers, or 36,000 miles. With a full tank of fuel, you'll get 600 kilometers or 375 miles of range. So you want to buy an inexpensive car. What else can you choose?
For your consideration, 4 vehicles for you to consider.
Up first is the Kia Rio with a 1.6-liter 4-cylinder, 120 horsepower, and a starting price of almost $20,000.
The Mitsubishi Mirage with a 1.2-liter 3-cylinder, just 78 horsepower, and a starting price of $17,000.
The Hyundai Venue with a 1.6-liter 4-cylinder, 121 horsepower, and a starting price just over $23,000.
The Kia Forte with a 2-liter 4-cylinder, 147 horsepower, and a starting price of $23,000.
So there are 4 more affordable vehicles for you to consider.
Lightning round, 2 things we like to see improved.
I love the fuel economy numbers on this.
I'm enjoying every minute driving it.
What I'd like to see is maybe a heated steering wheel. You could make it an a la carte item for those who want to spend a tiny bit more.
I would like you to spend a little more money and get the Sentra. Even though I'm enjoying this, so I'm conflicted.
He's conflicted, but he didn't say Venza. Did you see that?
I could throw in a, no, Versa.
No, Venza, you were saying I'm going to mix it up with Venza.
Oh, I don't know, I'm all
Anyway,
mixed up.
he's all fine. It was all Versa all the way.
I just need more coffee. So what are the key standard features of this budget-friendly Venza? Did I say-
Versa.
Versa. Okay, ready?
If you're looking for a budget-friendly commuter car with great fuel economy, check out this Versa.
Pro tip, spend more. Get the Sentra. Way more car.